Hey everyone, welcome back to the Intelligent Conversations podcast. Today I have the honor to learn from Dr. Katie Nall. Dr. Nall is a keynote speaker, trainer, and coach. She conducted research on ways for students to excel in math. In 2010, she learned EFT, or the Emotional Freedom Technique. So, Dr. Nall, thank you for coming on today. I appreciate you taking the time to come on my show. So here's a question I want to just kind of open up with, kind of introduce you to the audience. What was your initial draw? It's mathematics that you do. What was kind of your initial draw to that? Because some people, they look at math and are like, no thanks.
Yeah, a great question, Josh. It was my default subject. I moved around a lot when I was going through school. I attended 12 different schools in 5 different states. And we never moved in the summer. So I would be in the middle of a school year and I'd leave one school and we were starting the study of World War I, and I'd go to another school and we were finishing up what happened at the end of World War II. I'm not sure, but I think there's some interesting things that happened in between there. But I had no idea what it was. I learned a variety of different reading methods, which is what I attribute the fact that I mispronounce words all the time.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. So, but the one constant that I had in my life, regardless of where I was in school, was math. So by the time I finished high school and I was on my way to college and everybody said, what do you want to study? I was like, I don't know. I'm pretty good at math. And they're like, stamp, good. You're good to go.
Wow.
So it was my default subject. Truthfully, I enjoy solving problems. And I have to be very careful about how I word that, because every day my husband comes with me with a new problem. Like, where is the medicine? Or how do I do this? Those are not the kind of problems I'm interested in.
Gotcha. But that's kind of interesting that you got into math that way. I actually had a chance to talk with a mathematician as well, and he had something similar. He's like, yeah, math's it's the one constant, and it helps you solve a lot of problems, even just in the work world. It's like, hey, we have this problem, and kind of looking at it, I didn't even realize, because how it's taught in school, I'll be honest, I was like, oh my gosh, I do not like math. But then I realized, I'm like, wait, there's actually like a creative aspect to this. And I kind of like that part of it.
Yeah.
The numbers and all that, I'm like, okay, I can just kind of buckle down and just figure that out. But the creative aspect of part of it, I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize this was part of it. So I'm kind of curious then.
Yeah.
How did you move then to people? Like, now you're helping people solve, correct me if I'm wrong, it's called WAFFLES. What does that kind of stand for?
So, yes, and you're so right about math. When people realize that math is just about seeing patterns, and from the patterns, developing a quick and easy way to remember those patterns, called formulas, then math becomes so much easier. And yes, I did end up going from math and loving and teaching and enjoying math to helping people enjoy math and solving other life problems. So I help people eliminate WAFFLES. WAFFLES are worries, anxiety, fear, frustration, lethargy, exhaustion, and stress. I started it when I did my first TEDx talk on dissolving math and test anxiety. And from that, I ended up with clients all over the world that had different kinds of WAFFLES. And in working with them, I saw that this brain-based somatic method helped everybody. And I was like, I was sold, absolutely sold. And just for reference, Josh, I was working full-time when I went back to school as a mature adult. It took me 4 years working full-time to earn my PhD in mathematics education. By contrast, once I found out about tapping, I was so excited about it that I wanted to be able to teach it to everybody. And to become a master trainer in emotional freedom technique, it took me 8 years, twice as long as it took me to get my PhD.
Wow. That's a lot. Eight years to learn. What did you learn then? I mean, that's a long time. What did you learn during that time?
Yeah. So the training involved taking the classes, level 1, level 2, and level 3. But as you advance from one level to another, and as you earn your master trainer certification, you have to do case studies. So I would have to work with individuals one-on-one without a charge to help them I could hone my craft. And then I would submit my case studies to my advisor, who would let me know what was working well and give me advice on how I could be more effective as a practitioner, which led me to becoming a trainer. So now I can help others be more effective in their tapping.
Gotcha. So man, that's quite a process there too. So you had to, just to correct me if I'm wrong, you had to get the training, and then you had to actually go out and then make sure you knew what you were doing.
Exactly.
And then you finally got like the testing aspect of it and certified and all that.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. So what's tapping then? I mean, it's similar. Isn't it the same thing as ETF or EFT? Sorry.
It is. Yes, you're right. It's EFT. It's called EFT, which is an acronym for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And it's also tapping. So it's called all of those things. And it's basically a brain-based somatic method. And what's exciting, Josh, is that they've been doing clinical studies on the efficacy of tapping. And they found that 1 hour of tapping can reduce cortisol levels in our body. That's a hormone in our body, that it can reduce it by 42% in 1 hour. Now that's amazing. Cortisol is a hormone we release when we are stressed, and to reduce our stress that fast, that quickly, and it stays reduced, is something that you really can't get that same kind of result by any other drug. So it ends up being non-addictive, non-invasive, and as people learn it, it becomes self-administered. People can do this themselves. I love being able to empower people so that they can control their own waffles.
I think that's cool that there's like why haven't people heard of this then? That's kind of my question, because I mean, we hear about all these drugs, right, that can help us. Why do you think we haven't heard of this then?
I think you just answered your own question, Josh. The drug companies make money when people are using their drugs. And and I've had family members who've been on antidepressants, and they're really advised not to ever go off the antidepressants. There's no end in sight. So once a pharmaceutical company can introduce you to an antidepressant, you are advised to stay on it as long as you live. So the alternative, such as emotional freedom technique, EFT, or tapping, it would be that, okay, I can show you how to help you control your own emotions. And I've had clients who, in working through tapping, have been able, through medical advice, right, with working with their therapists, their psychologists, their psychiatrists, and have been able to reduce, and some even stop, their dependency on pharmaceuticals because the tapping is so effective.
Awesome. Well, we kind of talked about this before the show. I kind of want to try it now. Love it. Because you say it can be self-administered as well. So
Yes.
I mean, yeah. I could probably use some guidance to this.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And what you need to remember the most, Josh, is that everything that I ask has got to be true. Now, here's the exciting thing about tapping. I'm going to ask you about an issue. You don't have to tell me what the issue is. So I've had some clients that, for whatever reason, didn't feel comfortable in telling me what the issue is, but I can ask other questions about the issue that will help us resolve it. So here we go.
All right.
The first question is, I'm going to ask you to think about the last 24 to 48 hours and what kind of small waffles have you encountered? Now, when I say small waffles, I'm talking about somebody pulling out in front of you, or you're getting frustrated because something's not working, or you had an altercation with somebody that wasn't a pleasant experience. Can you think of something like that?
Oh, there's so many. I would say probably more, I guess a good example would be, I mean, you mentioned that. Just simple one would be like someone cuts me off and then I yell at them, what the heck are you doing? That's, I guess how you could say I'm letting out a lot of anger at.
Sure. And can you remember the last time that's happened?
Yesterday.
Yesterday? And where were you yesterday, Josh, when somebody pulled out in front of you?
It's on a road. I was making a right turn and I had the right of way at a stop sign, and then he decided to blow through that stop sign and turn left. So
wow, that's scary. That's super scary. And when you think about that now, that yesterday you were getting ready to make a right turn, that the other driver was blowing right through the stop sign, what negative emotion are you feeling right now?
My instinct was to say anger, but actually it's now more like resentment. It's kind of weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's anger and resentment. Which one is stronger?
I'd say anger, probably, like in the moment. Yeah.
Okay. And from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes, when you think about that anger, when you were trying to make a right-hand turn and you were in the right and that other driver blew right past that stop sign, where do you feel the anger in your body?
I'd say the head. Like,
in your head?
Yeah.
Okay. And from 0 to 10, where 0 is like, no big deal, I got out of there safely, and 10 is the most anger you've ever had in your life. When you think about that right now, how would you rate the anger?
Probably like a 5.
Okay, that's great. It's a 5. The last question is, I'm going to ask you to tap on yourself and repeat words. And if I ask you to repeat something, you go, no, that's not true for me, or you'd use different words. Will you repeat things in your own words for me?
Okay. So phrase it differently if I don't necessarily.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like you said, it was in your head, and I may say, I'm feeling this anger right above my eyeballs, and that's not what you said. So if you can phrase it in your own words, that's going to be good. Now, for your listening audience who may be driving or preoccupied while we're doing this, I'm going to ask them to pause and come back when they have both hands free. We want everyone to be safe while we're doing this. Mm-hmm. So, Josh, the first thing is take either your right hand or your left hand, it doesn't matter, and put your palm up to your face. Okay? And then take your other hand and use 4 fingers of your other hand and put them between your wrist and your little finger. And we're going to tap right there. Oh, I have one last question. Is this a true statement? Right here, right now, I feel safe.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And for the listening audience, if that's not a true statement, you can substitute right here, right now, I accept the way I feel. Or right here, right now, sometime I hope to feel safe. So you want to make sure the statement's true for you. Okay, Josh, here we go. Repeat after me. Even though
it
was yesterday, I was stopped and had the right of way. And I was making my right-hand turn. And this other driver went right through the stop sign. And thinking about it now, I feel this anger in my head. Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
We're going to repeat versions of that sentence 2 more times. Even though, when I think about that thing yesterday,
I still
feel anger in my head.
I still feel anger in my head.
I mean, I had the right of way.
I mean, I did have the right of way.
And they blew right through the stop sign.
And they blew right through the stop sign.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Even though
I
can't believe yesterday
I
had the right of way making that turn.
I had the right of way making that turn.
And that other driver blew right through the stop sign.
That other driver blew through the stop sign.
And today I still feel that anger in my head.
And today I still feel that anger in my head.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
We're going to take that one hand and we're going to put it on top of our head. You can use one hand or the other or both. It doesn't matter. Yeah, if you like to use both, we can do that. And tap on the top of your head and say, this anger in my head.
This anger in my head.
And above your nose, on the edge of your eyebrows, this anger in my head.
This anger in my head.
On your temples, this anger in my head.
This anger in my head.
And the next spot, Josh, is where I keep all my bags for a quick getaway, and that's under your eyes. This anger in my head.
This anger in my head.
Under your nose, above your lips, this anger in my head.
This anger in my head.
Under your lips, above your chin, this anger in my head.
This anger in my head.
Cross your wrists and tap on your collarbone, this anger in my head.
This anger in my head.
And on your ribs, tapping there and saying, this anger in my head.
This anger in my head.
And put your hands on your shoulders. We're going to go rub our arms down to our elbows and breathe out like a cartoon character. It goes like this. Very good. So if you have a sip of water nearby, Josh, do you have some water?
It's empty right now, actually.
That's okay. That's what I would have clients do after each, that's called a round. And we do that for about an hour. But I'm going to ask you, Josh, when you think about yesterday and you were about ready to make a right-hand turn because you had the right of way and this other driver blew right past the stop sign, your anger in your head from 0 to 10, it was a 5. Where is it now?
It's probably like a 1, a 0, if anything.
And the cool thing about this is that the clinical studies have shown that about that situation, that sense of anger will not return. It's gone. It's completely gone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So how does that work then? I'm curious, because I definitely, just for the listeners, I do feel a lot more relaxed right now. That's for sure. But I'm kind of curious, what the tapping kind of confused me. What was the point of that?
So there's a lot of pieces to this, Josh. The first piece is that we have to admit negative emotions. I've had clients walk out of my office saying, oh, I'm a positive person. I'm not going to I don't ever have negative emotions. And I'm like, okay, good for you. I'm a big believer we all have negative emotions. And you know what? It may not be anything that we experience. We may be able to script anything that comes into a positive. But even if we don't have negative emotions, here's something that's interesting. When we were a fetus in our mother's womb and our mother had negative emotions, that DNA got imprinted on us. So we may have negative emotions we don't even know about from our mother's life. So I'm a big believer that we all have negative emotions, and the more we can clear them out, the more room there is for the positive emotions. So that's the first piece. Now, you asked about the tapping on the 8 different parts of your body. Now, this is what we would call level 1 tapping. There are multiple levels in different places that we can tap. These 8 spots were identified by an electrical engineer of the name of Gary Craig. He came from Stanford University, and he was studying how psychologists and psychiatrists were working with patients. They found that if they take advantage of traditional Chinese medicine and what traditional Chinese medicine calls meridians, if you've ever worked with acupuncture or acupressure, they talk about the energy pathways in our body that traditional Chinese medicine has defined for thousands of years. And these pathways look like electrical circuits to Gary Craig. And he identified that these 8 spots, the top of your head, the edge of your eyebrow, on your side of your eye, under your nose, under your lips, on your collarbone, and on your ribs, connect with 96 to 98% of the energy pathways of the meridians. Now, why is that important? Studies have shown, starting with Dr. Hans Selye, who really was the first physician to study the effect that stress has on our body, that when we have our WAFFLES, our stressors, that we hold them, we have the potential of holding them in our body. And if you think about the word emotions, it really means energy in motion. And if we have a feeling of happiness and joy and love and comfort and peace, well, those emotions, Josh, have a tendency for us to feel and then to move along. Our bodies, however, are hardwired to look for danger, survival, problems. And when those things come up, we hold on to them only because of survival. If we were in a situation where we were not safe, we're going to hold on to all the components of that. And our body collects all that in our amygdala, the lower part of our brain, also called our lizard brain. And we hold on to all that information in case we're in that same situation. Now, you may or may not have been in a situation where a car had come up and struck you, just like that car that you just missed you because you were alert. And so your body was like, wait a minute, this is so similar to something else that had happened either to you or to your mother or to your grandmother or to your great-grandmother, or do you see how that goes? And so your body goes on alert because this is something very similar to something that was scary, that the outcome was not good. And so your body reacts by storing all that information in the amygdala. When we're tapping on those 8 points, we're able to reduce all of that and to say, wait a minute, yes, thank you, amygdala, for storing all of the information, but I now have a prefrontal cortex that has tools that may not have been available to me when I was younger or when I was in a womb or when something else happened. And so calming down the amygdala by bringing up the parasympathetic nervous system so that you can calm down, so that you can think easier, so that you can have clearer decisions, so that you can make intelligent conversations.
There you go.
Allows all that to happen.
I like that. Thank you for that explanation. And so is that why, this is something I just thought of, is that why you said, asked me to say, I feel safe, and what was the statement again? I feel safe right now because you need to tell your brain, like, hey, we're in a safe space.
You're so right. You're so right. There is an affirmation at the end of the setup phrase that we do when we're tapping on the side of our hand that is a comforting, that is reassuring. So different practitioners use different things. The way we're taught in level 1 is to say, right here, right now, I love myself. Now, what I have found in the 13 years I've been doing this is that not everybody can comfortably say that. But what I ask is, can you say, so I usually start with, can you say, right here, right now, I feel safe? And Josh, I'm really surprised by the number of people who say, no, that's not really true. And my heart just goes out to them. So we modify it to someday I hope to feel safe, or I accept these emotions. But whatever we say is the affirmation in the setup phrase has to be true for the client. And that's another important piece, is that I have to use the client's words. And that's something I learned in the 8 years of training, is that I used to jump to conclusions because I'm very athletic. No, I'm not. But I would jump right into those conclusions. And then I would find that I was jumping off into a space that the client wasn't there. And so I was leading the client into totally different spots. So that's where all the training helps.
Awesome. So this is a question I have. Could you also do it kind of the reverse way? So, I mean, this is a good way, I think, to help with negative emotion. Can you do it like positive reinforcement, like with positive emotions?
That's a great question. And the answer is, of course. But here's the thing. Positively, we use that with our prefrontal cortex, right?
Okay.
But it doesn't do anything to our amygdala in the back that's trying to keep us safe. And it's calming down that amygdala that's important, because I don't know about you, Josh, but I've been a proponent of positive reinforcement all my life, and it doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you.
Yeah. And so I have found that the more negative I can get out, the calmer I am, not just after a session, but it's actually going out into my life in general. So overall, I'm becoming very calm. My husband will tell you, when he first met me decades ago, that I had a tendency to be manic depressive. Now, not clinically defined, but there would be days where I'd be off the chart, and I'd be scrambling around, just doing all kinds of things like crazy. And then there'd be the other part of the days I'm in the corner with a blanket over my head. And I found through tapping that, yes, I'm still somebody who prefers being busy. I book way too many things that I should be doing. But I'm a lot more calm about it, and a lot more, the word I'm looking for is intentional. I'm much more intentional about what I do. Whereas before it was just like a helter-skelter. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's used for that. And how can people then implement this into their lives? Because, I mean, they're probably listening right now, and they're like, all right, maybe I want to get out some negative emotion. And I like that you say that negative emotion happens to you, because I think that's so true. Like you said, I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes it's like, okay, always be happy, positive. But the thing is if you just ignore them for too much, then it just becomes overwhelming. And I find that it's better to respond to your negative emotions and say, all right, like, what's the reality here? Like, yeah, you're pissed off right now, but are you going to change anything? Probably not. It just happened. You can't change the past. So how would people then kind of look to implement this, or what are some strategies that they can use?
That's a great point, Josh, and you're so right. You can't change the past. What you can change is how you feel about the past. And your body does listen to what you're saying and you're thinking, and will put it in motion. So you have to be very careful about that. And yeah, so there are EFT practitioners throughout the United States. Tapping actually is way more popular in the UK, United Kingdom, and across the European nations. Interestingly enough, they have universal health care there. So the government is paying for treatment. So there's a lot of treatments going on overseas that are self-administered. There's things like the Alexander method that helps back issues incredibly easily, so that the government doesn't have to pay for back surgeries. And with the mental health situation all over the world, being able to tap and release those issues so that people can be more effective, more productive, and more intentional about their lives, using tapping is huge. So there are places where they can do a search for an EFT practitioner. Personally, I'm on all social media as Katie Nall, PhD, so people can search for me. Not only do I work with clients one-on-one, but I also do training. So therapists, interestingly enough, may not be interested in tapping because the clients end up getting better faster. And for some therapists, they depend on that weekly income. But yeah, so doing Google searches are a great way to find people. And there's lots of YouTube videos out there. Gary Craig has YouTube videos. What's interesting is when he pulled all this together, he created this, Josh. He was trying it out on different things. He actually went to a veterans hospital and worked with Vietnam vets who had been hospitalized and drugged for 40 years. And he worked with them, so the story goes, for 1 week, doing nothing but tapping for 1 week, which is a lot of tapping. But interestingly, by the end of the week, these veterans were drug-free and were able to be released from the hospital. This is powerful, powerful stuff. And because of all of that, it has been approved by the Veterans Administration to work with patients who have post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. And it is incredibly effective.
So just to kind of clear something up here, so in that study, particular case there, does tapping help the PTSD or does it help like you overcome addiction or both? Does it like the drug addiction or something?
Right.
Like that?
So the study I was referencing, the Vietnam vets were on drugs prescribed while they were hospitalized to help them calm down. So it wasn't necessarily for addictions, although people have used PTSD to help with addictions, not singularly, but along with therapeutic and medicinal support.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. So does tapping helps mental illnesses more than maybe something like maybe a drug addiction, any other type of addiction you may?
It can be a component to work aligned with other things. I have had clients that I've worked with a therapist who had a client, and the therapist was frustrated because the client wasn't moving forward. And through tapping, the client was able to move forward and actually able, with the therapist's approval, to be able to wean themselves off of not one, but two antidepressants. And the therapist and the client both agreed that the client had sufficient skills and abilities and was at a stable enough place that they no longer needed the therapist. Now that took a period of months, but this particular client had been working with therapists for years.
Wow. So that just goes to show that, there's a lot of these case studies that works. And I think people should try it and things like that.
That's the thing. There's no adverse side effects. Now, I will say that before I was completely trained, that sometimes if you don't know what you're doing, you can take a client into a traumatic situation, which is not good. You don't want to do that. And that's why the training can be invaluable.
Gotcha. Yeah. So kind of along those lines, and I'm going to ask the intelligent question of the day, and that I think when people start exploring some of these negative emotions, like you said, traumatic experiences come up, and that's why you need to seek out, specialized help. How do people, I guess, even realize that they have all this negative emotion stored up to begin with? Because sometimes it's like, oh, I'm positive, right? And they realize, oh, I'm always positive, all that, and they kind of just store it away. How do you kind of break that and kind of help them realize, hey, maybe I should actually kind of see or explore some of this negative emotion and then try and get rid of it?
Good question, Josh. It's kind of like the same way people will go to a physician. If my finger hurts for a little while, I'll do my home remedies. I'll call a friend. I'll check on Google or WebMD or something. And if my finger doesn't heal after a while, maybe a few days, a week, a month, a year, then I will go to a physician. And if they can't help me, then I'll start looking at alternatives. I may look at acupuncture or chiropractic or all kinds of other things. And many of my clients are people who've gone through that. They are unhappy. They know that there's something wrong, that they don't feel great, and they can't identify why. So they may have tried different kinds of things and nothing else has been helpful, but then they've heard of tapping. And by that time, the approach is, well, it can't be any worse than where I am right now. And so it's kind of like, just when things get so bad that you don't have anything else, that's when we start trying something else, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was one of those. I had a serious health issue, and I went through 6 years of a parade of physicians and all kinds of intrusive testing with no positive results. I just kept getting sicker and sicker until one physician suggested a diet change, and I changed my diet, and in 1 week I was so much better. I thought, how could it have been that simple? I was expecting it was going to be something very serious, right? But sometimes the simple solutions can be the best.
Well, I mean, I'm going to kind of add on. That's the intelligent answer today. And I want to add on to that too, that especially that last part. Simple solutions sometimes are the best. I mean, even, this is kind of an analogy here, but even in, like, let's say business, if you come up with a brilliant invention, most of the time it's a simple, like a little simple device that solves a very complex problem that people don't even realize, like, what? How did that? And that's the thing. We look at these big companies today and we're like, that's so simple. Why didn't I think of that?
Right.
And oftentimes it's those simple solutions that really go a long way because they're easier to implement than some of these complex solutions. Yeah. Well, Dr. Nall, thank you for coming on today. I appreciate you taking the time. And if people want to find you, reach out to you, book a session with you, all that fun stuff. I know you have books, I believe, too. What's the best way that they can do all that?
Well, first of all, thank you, Josh, for inviting me to your incredible podcast. They can find me on all social media by my name, Katie Nall, PhD. So that's KATIENALL, PhD. They can find me on my website, which is my last name, Nall, followed by the word edge, EDGECO.com. It's knowledgecompany.com. Or I will challenge your listeners to give me a call. I'd love to hear their stories and find out more about them. They can call me directly at area code 772-226-0167. Again, that's 772-226-0167.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on today. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. As you can tell, that is Dr. Katie Nall. She's a very intelligent person, has great things to share. I challenge you guys, if anything spoke to you today or if anything you just resonated with you, to reach out to her, book a session with her. I'm sure she'll appreciate that. Stay tuned until next week. We have a great guest lined up for you guys. See you guys next week, and let's get after it. Hey everyone, if you liked this episode and would like to hear more, be sure to hit that subscribe or follow button. We release a new episode every Wednesday for you guys to listen to. Thank you guys so much for the support that you give. We could not have done this without you guys. If you would like to be a potential guest on the show, check out intelligentconvos.com and fill out the form there. Thank you guys again, and let's get after it.